answer any other questions applicable to it that I can answer. I have with me online Rosa Casas. She is the main person that handles the NRA items. I am just there to be a support to her when it's needed. With that, hi Rosa. With that said, let's go straight to demonstrating how to use the GTP to file your taxes. First of all, hold on, let me share my screen if I'm able to see that here. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for you to be able to go to this page where I am, if you did not receive any email from supporttax.com, I believe that's the email address. If you didn't receive any email from support tax, that means you're not in Glacier, and you can go through this means to go log in to get started, and probably to ask you for access code. Then you can now ask us for access code. So here I pulled this information so that I can start from the scratch like every other person. So I go ahead and click on forgot login. I put in my email address in there. And for those of you that received an email, all you need to do was go into the email and click on the link. And it already gave you a temporary username and password to use for gaining access to GTP. And when GTP now asks you for your access code, then you are able to send us an email asking us to grant you an access code. So here is telling me that my email, an email has been sent to me, and that I go ahead and follow the instruction. So let me pull my email on this page here. Okay, so you gave me a link that I should click on. I think I'll put it on this side. So here is my information. I'm not sure. It says I should confirm my password. Log in. So when you're able to log in, it gives you your user agreement, which normally we click on I agree. It say here, enter access code to prepare your tax return. So I'm going to go look for access code that I can use for testing. So you give me an access code CHDVE9BWVQ. So I hit next. So on this page, I would like to discuss a lot on this page. So when it brings you to this page, yes, I know that the zeal is to start with the step one and all that. For every step, there's also more information on this side. Make sure you're reading what is on the side if to have a better understanding of what you're doing. But I want every one of you to pay attention on this bottom item here. You have FAQs and blank tax form for prior years. So this FAQ gives you every answer to most of the questions that you might have. And if you go through the FAQ here and you do not see the question that you have on here, then you can then ask us if it's something we can answer. We go ahead and give you an answer. If it's not too technical or tax related. Or you click on this live general non-resident alien tax information and GTP Q&A sessions. These are Zoom calls where you talk to live tax agents that will help you answer every tax question that you have. So I will encourage every single one of you that are filing your taxes to really, really utilize this opportunity for this that has been provided here. For example, no upcoming live session, new live recorded on Thursday, February 12th, 2026. The next one they have is actually today, and they have the access information for the session will be available 2 hours prior to start time. Probably is going to start in the next few minutes for this one. The next one they will have will be March 27th. After that is April 1st because they operate on Eastern time zone. This one is coming up in about 20 minutes. The next one is April 1st, April 6th, April 10th, April 13th, and the last one they will have will be June 11th. Then here is for if you participated, you do a survey of how helpful it was to you. Then if you didn't file your taxes the prior years and probably you didn't file at all, or probably you're like, oh, I think I used the wrong tax form to file. You can purchase here. You can also ask questions about that. You can view and print your prior tax forms on this link. Help here. If you need help, it takes you to the support that Glacier has for any help that you are requesting for. So the encouragement is that everybody who is using this software to file their taxes and have any questions, utilize all the available resources that has been provided for you to get help for your questions. So step one is to determine your residency, your name, your last name, your email address, your passport number. So in this first one, you probably, I skipped where the instruction says, make sure you have available with you before you start your I-20, your passport, your I-94 with you. and all your tax document that you receive before you start the process, so that you're not scrambling looking for your passport or your information all over the place. So here you put in your passport um, number, and here you select the country that issued your passport. And here you enter your country, your city of country of origin, citizenship. Then here you enter country of tax residency, which is still the same. So all these three has to match unless you were in a different country when they issued you the passport. Then this may be different, but most 90% of the time, all three countries has to match. So on here, I already have this information. I came to the United States the first time, August 12th, 2020, and I left, for the winter break, December 21, 2020. Then I came back to United States, January 11, 2021. For this purpose, I will put here that I didn't leave the country after then. If you are confused on what to put in here, read this information here that says, and please enter all your visits to and fro from the US. If you don't know when you will permanently leave the US, please refer to your immigration documents. If you require additional space, please click the add row link. Even if you did not receive income and are not required to complete a tax return, please complete all the steps so that GTP can determine if you need to file additional forms. So whether you got paid, whether you received money, whether you didn't receive scholarship, whatever the case may be for you, it is advised to go ahead and plug in your information, because if you didn't get paid, you didn't receive any form of scholarship or any form of payment throughout the year of 2025, you still need to file a form called 8843 um, to the IRS. To me, in a layman term, that form is for accountability sake. So regardless of your status of payment, it's advised that you log into Glacier and run through this process to determine what type of forms you're going to file. If you have left the US, you can put in here, I was not present in the US for any days during 2025. However, I am required to file a tax return. You can check that off as well. Then this place, you can put in here, uncheck this still in the US, put in here when you left the US, and check this one that says you were not present in 2025 for whatever reason that may qualify you to file taxes. So step one, summary. It now gives me the summary of the information and I put here. So it gives me my name, my email address, my passport number, the country. So this will help you make sure that the information you have put in here is correct. If your email address is missing a letter or anything, you can click on edit, go back to go fix it. Then here it gives you a summary of how long you have been here in the US. So I came in 2020 and it has counted me that I stayed in the country and for 132 total number of days present in the US, which is regarded as 1 year. Even if it's the 31st of December you came to the US, that whole year is counted as one. So, so you don't get confused when you plug in your information and you'll be like, oh my goodness, it's not yet up to 5 years. Why is it telling me this? So, your day, even if it's a day in the year that you were present in the US, is counted as a whole year. So on here, it has counted me from 2020 all to 2025. So it make me a resident alien for tax purposes. So I hit next and it tells me you are a resident alien for tax purposes. So what it's telling me here is, hey, you may not use GTP. GTP is used only for non-resident aliens. Resident alien for tax purposes must file a U.S. federal tax return in the same manner as a U.S. citizen and report all income from all sources. So when you become a resident alien for tax purposes, you have to report income from everywhere worldwide, wherever you receive income from, whether from your country, whether from another state, everything has to be reported on when you file your taxes like every other citizen. So if your country of tax resident has an income tax treaty with the US and you have claimed an exemption for tax withholding, which some students still do after they've stayed 5 years, if they're from countries like Bangladesh or China, that doesn't have a limit on the tax treaty, and you must complete your federal income tax return in a particular manner. For more information about how to file an income tax return as a resident alien who is eligible to claim an exemption from tax based on an income tax treaty, it says to click here. So this is the instruction on what you can do to file your taxes as someone who exercised tax treaty.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Um, I'm so sorry for interrupting, but I have two visas. I have a tourist visa and I have a student visa. And last year, on 2024, I entered a couple of times with my tourist visa.
Okay.
But it was just for shopping purposes. It was during the summer, so I went back to Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and I was coming here to San Antonio just for shopping.
Okay.
And then I re-enter when I started school again. I re-enter with my student visa. Um, should I include that on my where we need to log in every time we enter and exit the country?
I would say yes. If you didn't come in with that as an F1, you came in here just to come and shop, correct? And
Yes.
was it a long period of time or just, few weeks and you go back?
No, it was a couple of days.
Yeah, so I would say um to stick with, well, you have the option here. You can enter it just to put in the number of days that you were in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it's gonna do. Um, I don't know what it's gonna do. I've never tried it to see what it's gonna do. But I just want to change my information here so that I can see if I can file taxes I can show how to file taxes for non-resident alien right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe I'll try that to as an example and see. So we were just here a few minutes ago. Let's see if it's going to make me. So now, because I changed the dates to, 1 year prior, later, it still counted me as, uh, it now counts me as a non-resident alien for tax purposes. So hold on. I don't know if this would take me back all the way. Never mind. I wanted to point out something. So if you calculate it this way, that, oh, I came in 2021, I'm already 5 years. Why am I still being told to use Glacier to file the taxes? You see what I have just done now. And yes, you see it, the number of years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But as of that 2025, you were still in that neighborhood of the 5 years. So for 2026 tax filing, then you will become a resident alien for tax purposes. So that's the difference. So
I have a question.
go ahead.
Is this session just targeted for non-resident aliens?
Yes,
Okay, because it's already been like 8 years for me, so I think I'll be a resident alien, so I cannot use GTP, right?
that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So we go now to, it says a non-resident alien for tax purposes is required to file different tax form than a US citizen or resident alien and is not eligible to claim same deductions and allowances as a US citizen or resident alien. So if you're a non-resident alien, you are not allowed to claim any form of deductions or allowances like the citizens or the resident alien would do. So when we go to step 2, we'll see what is applicable to us. So here, these are all the forms that is available for those who are regarded as non-resident alien. There is no, if you look at this list here, there is no 1098T. I don't know any other form. These are the 1099s that can be available as a contractor, which is the non-employee compensation 1099 NEC, as well as the 1099 miscellaneous, 1099 interest, 1099. I think this G has to do with gaming and also stocks with the same thing with this 1099 dividend. The B and the DA, I'm not 100% sure what that is, but if you're exercising stocks, selling shares and stuff like that, um, you receive a 1099 and it's under any of these categories, you need to add it in your tax filing. So, like I always say every year, not everybody will have all these forms. Some of you who received pay through payroll only will only receive from W-2. Those of you that have tax treaty, a limit amount for tax treaty between your country and United States, for example, Bangladesh and China, that has 5,000, China has 5,000 tax limit of, tax treaty of $5,000 for the calendar year, and Bangladesh has $8,000. So once you meet that $8,000 in a calendar year, if you continue to get paid, you will receive both 1042 and W2. So the 1042 will show the tax treaty amount, while your W2 will show those amount, the remaining amount for the remaining year, the remainder of the year that was taxed. Another category is somebody who has scholarship and was receiving stipend, and they got taxed on their stipend or scholarship. And during maybe say in the spring, they were receiving scholarship. They didn't get what's it called? They didn't get um paid through payroll, but they got paid through their stipend. And their stipend was taxed. They get 1042. Probably during the fall or summer, they decided to work and get paid through payroll. They may end up getting both 1042 for their stipend when they didn't work, and W2 for their wages, salary, when they worked during the school year. Like I said, if you exercise stocks, or you got paid like a contractor, you were doing you're working some other organization that don't probably know how 1042 works. And they issued, instead of issuing a 1042, they issued you a 1099 NEC, because, you know, you went for internship or you were doing your OPT or something. Um, that is also acceptable. But you cannot work for the same organization and receive W2 and 1099 NEC or MISC at the same time, the same year. If you, for example, you're working for UTSA, and probably during one of the semesters you became an independent contractor where you have to be doing some research, and they didn't want to pay through payroll, and they decide to pay you through payment works. I think that's what it's called. Or you receive some form of award and stuff like that. Um, I'm supposed to issue you a 1042, and not DTS is not supposed to issue you a 1099 NEC or 1099 miscellaneous, because you are still probably will end up working for UTSA that same year. So any of these forms that you receive is you then, and you have it handy, you go in. For example, for W2, on your W2, it will have the employer ID, identification number, your wages here, taxes that was taken, employer address. So let me do this so that you would see an example. Employer name UTSA, one UTSA Seco, San Antonio, Texas, 78249. So no, 10,000, and let me say 500 was taxed. Yeah, 10,000. 10,000 of 1.55%. So 145. Sorry, this is 6.2. Six twenty. So 10,000 45. So my name equal one. Let me put UTSA Saco San Antonio. Make sure you're putting your correct address in case they need to send you a letter. Make sure the address you have, the address on your form is not really necessary. So make sure you're putting the right address, your current address, in case they need to send you a letter or something, because IRS will not call you. IRS will not send you email. So the only thing they can do to correspond with you is through your letter. So you have to make sure that your address where you are is correct. So UTSA is a college or university. So whichever one that matches where your W-2 came from, you plug it in here. So if you notice, I had put in amount on the Social Security. Let me go back. I have put amount here. Social Security, tax, withheld, and all that stuff. 3, 4, 5, 6. If you see this amount, if you find that there are amounts as a non-resident alien, they find that there are amount on your number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. And it is from UTSA payroll. Unfortunately, we won't be able to refund you these amounts that is on number 4 and number 6. The reason is because we were instructed that we can make that correction. We will have the student go ahead and file for that refund themselves from IRS. So this is the instruction here. You have indicated that FICA was withheld from your compensation as an employee, as a non-resident alien for tax purposes, who is present in the US as an F1 or OPT or CPT, you are not required to pay this tax for 2025. FICA tax is different from federal, state, or local tax and may not be claimed on your tax return as a payment or deduction. So because of that, they expect us to refund that, which we used to do. But because of some issues that came out of it, we refuse to do the refund. So when because we refuse, we always will give you guidance on how you ask for that refund, and the asking for the refund is separate from your actual tax filing. So make sure you're reading every instruction that comes your way. So I hit next. I don't have any other form I'm adding. If you have 1042, you go ahead and add your 1042. If you have any 1099 that came to you, or if you know you're expecting one, then make sure you have it before you start doing any of the other forms that you have. But if you know you didn't exercise any stock, you didn't do anything that is going to give you an interest, You didn't do any contract work that is going to give you a 1099 MISC or NEC, then just go ahead and continue with what form you have received. All forms are supposed to get to you, supposed to be mailed out to you on or before January 30th of that year, of that new year. So if you don't receive the forms that you're expecting, make sure you worked for you to ask for W-2. If you didn't work, there's no need for you to ask for W-2. Make sure you have taxes taken from your stipend, or you have tax treaty for you, or you got an award and it was taxed, or you were a consultant and you were taxed not by payroll, but you were taxed based off of the money you received and you were paid through payment works. Make sure you have your 1042 with you before you file your taxes. Don't say, oh, I only got my W-2, that's what I know, and you go ahead and file your taxes, and at the end of the day, you have another tax form that will come to you. You have to redo what you have done and probably do a correction and file it correctly. So don't give room to any auditing from IRS because it's not always pretty. So here is now telling me how much I earned. This is the total income from the US source. If there's anything that I'm not including, um, if I want to report anything I feel like is an income, that doesn't have any tax form to back it up, I would tell you if you are reporting any amount that you did not receive any tax document, make sure you have proper documentation of that income that you are trying to report. Because if you don't have any proper documentation, you'll get yourself in trouble. So my my opinion on that is file only the tax document that was given to you. If you're not sure of other monies that come to you, how you're going to add it without getting yourself in trouble, just make sure you file what you have the tax document for. That one is already in their system and they are aware of it, and that's what they're going to base it off of. If you're going to say, oh, I received this, I received that, I will only give you what I receive on your tax document. I wouldn't know any other extra money that you got that was not reported unless you send it to me during the year and say, hey, this is money I received. Is it taxable and all that stuff? Then I will find out from you if the money is taxable, because if you report any money to IRS that was not taxed, that was supposed to be taxed, when you're doing the process, you may end up owing IRS some money and you have to pay them the money that you owe them. So now it's giving me the total US income. I'm going to step 3. Here it's telling me to put in my house address, making sure that I put in the right address here. Make sure you put your right address, your current address. This is Texas, 780-78249. If you don't live in the US anymore, you don't need to put address, you just click I don't currently live in the US. So here, you don't necessarily, if you're here in the US, you don't necessarily need to put any address here. So all I do is put in an sorry. Then here you put your country that you come from. So here you put in your social security number. So here, if you don't have social security number or any ITIN, you need to apply for that. You just click here and say, I do not have, which I'm going to do. I don't have ITIN or SSN. So I put in, here is going to ask me additional information. So I put in that as my date of birth. I put in my country. I put in my gender, first name at birth, if it's different. If it's different, you put all that information. If it's not different, just leave as it is. If you got if you got issued an ITIN before, you can put that information here. If not, you leave blank. Visa number and estimated or final date of departure from the US, which is usually um, that information that is on your I-20. So you plug that information. What's your marital status as of the last day of 2025? I'll put single. If you're married but your spouse is not with you in the US, you are still married. So it whatever the choice is for you, you put in here. So I'll just put single. So here, IRS requires certain information about the academic institution that sponsored your immigration status. So if you're, associated with more than one during 2025, the information you're going to put here will be the last one that you attended, or where you worked. So here, um, the designated name, the name for the designated school official is usually that person that signed your I-20. So most of them are used URL. The phone number is also the phone number in 458. I think it's 7200. I can't remember. But those of you that receive GTP email, the phone number is on there. The phone number, the name of designated school official, the name of the academic institution, the street address was written, was updated in the email that was sent out to everybody. So this is UTSA, one UTSA circle. San Antonio, Texas, 78249. So here, he said, during 2025, did you pay any interest on a loan from US bank or financial institution to pay for a tuition at a US college or university? Most of the answer here is usually no. But if you received a document saying this is for the interest you paid during the year because you took a loan from a US bank for your tuition, then you go ahead and plug in that amount in here. So if you don't understand it, there's more information on this side. Student loan interest. In order to qualify for a student loan interest deduction, the interest must be generated by a qualified student loan. A qualified student loan is any loan that was taken out to pay qualified higher educational expenses. Qualified higher educational expenses includes tuition, required fees, books and supplies, housing, etc. A qualified loan does not include a loan taken out from a friend or relative or other types of loan, example, car loan. For more information, please see publication 970 or visit the IRS website at www.irs.gov. So we hit next. During 2025, during 2025, did you make any contribution to US charities? So if you made any contribution to US charities and you have the documentation that shows that you made contribution or you gave a gift to US organization that has a religious, charitable, educational, scientific, or literal purpose, um, you may be eligible to take a tax deduction. So most of the time, the answer here is no. So during 2025, did you make any estimated federal tax payments? So this means making an estimated tax payment is not the same as having federal or state tax withheld on your income statement. You must have used Form 1040 ES to remit estimated tax payments to IRS. So if you know you didn't use 1040 ES to make any form of payment to IRS, then your answer here is no. So here is asking you about digital currency. And anytime during 2025, did you receive or you sold or exchanged any virtual currency award payment for property or services or digital assets or virtual currency? Most of everybody will say no. Unless you did that, you can say yes. Relationship to US. Have you ever applied to be a lawful resident green card of the US? So most of the time, the answer I get here is no. So, but if you have, you say yes. Have you ever been approved to be a green card holder? If you didn't apply, you say no. If you did, were you approved? Is that yes or no? Have you ever been a US citizen? At any point in time, you are a US citizen, and for some reason you think you are not. Either you say yes or no, but most cases here, the answer is always a no. Then prior year tax return issues. Have you ever filed a US income tax return for a year prior to 2025? So if last year you did file it, you say yes, I did. So here you select what year you filed, which is usually the previous year. You can only select one. So if you filed last year, you pick 2024. If you didn't file last year, maybe you filed in 2022 or 2023 or 2021, you go ahead and put when you filed your tax. And you select here what form. By 2021, they discontinued 1040 NR Easy. So in 2024, the form that was filed if you were a non-resident alien is 1040 NR. But if you probably last year you were like, oh, I didn't know there was a different form for NRA, that what I used was 1040 or 1040 easy or 1040A, you put whatever form you had when you filed your income tax on here. So if you didn't file any taxes, you can put here and say, I didn't file any taxes. 2025 was the first time I came to the US, so I didn't file any taxes. Then you click here and say, no, I have never filed a US income tax return. If you filed only a form 8843, you also need to select the no. If you should have filed a tax return for a year prior to 2025 but did not and have not yet done so, select no as well. So if you were supposed to file taxes for 2024, but you found out that you didn't file your taxes, you still select no. Then you hit next. So there's more questions here at the bottom. So on your 2024 1040 NR, were you eligible for a tax refund that you instructed the IRS to keep the money and apply to any refund that you may have in 2025? I don't think the students will want to do that. So the answer here is usually no. I told IRS to send me my money by check or direct deposit. Then here is asking you about state taxes. Did you file state taxes? So for Texas, we don't have state taxes. So usually those who worked here in Texas will not have any state taxes. So the answer is usually no. But if you had gone to do residency, not residency, OPT or internship, and you did it in a different state that has state taxes, you can go ahead here. No, you can still say no because here is asking you the same question it asks for the federal taxes. So the $10,000 that I got paid, but it was only taxed for 500, has made me owe IRS 503. So now it's telling me these are the means of payment. You need to pay back to IRS 503. Now you will say, but I was taxed. Why do I have to pay back IRS? The reason is because you were not taxed enough. And if you notice if you notice in your paycheck that you are being taxed the same way that you've always been taxed, say for example, in 2023, in 2024, you worked and you were either paying no taxes, taxes was taken from your check or none at all during the year. Then you filed your taxes in 2025 and you found out that you owe IRS. And probably you reached out to us and you're like, oh, why am I owing IRS and all that? And we look through your information and we say, oh, the reason you are owing IRS is because you paid less taxes during the year, and IRS has calculated it and told you you're owing them the taxes. So maybe you said it to us and probably um, the assumption is, oh, I got it fixed. So this year I'm not going to owe. My advice to every single one of you is this. We attend to a lot of students and we try our best as possible to make sure we meet the needs of every student as well as the staff because we cater to both students and the staff at the same time. Please look through your paychecks every month. Look through your paychecks. If you do not see that it has changed, like some of you looked through your paychecks last paycheck and saw that FICA got taken from your paycheck. that was as a result of a malfunction of the system because of some application that we needed to do every semester that didn't work. So that one, we already know about it and we already have a fix to do the refund to everybody's paycheck that it affected. And I'm happy that most of you sent us a message telling us, hey, why am I being taxed on FICA? I'm supposed to be exempt. I've always been exempt. And we researched on it and we found out what the issue was. I am grateful for every one of you that contacted us because there was no way we would have known if you did not tell us. So but on this one, we kind of knew because we've had an issue with that before, and we were making sure that, but we didn't know how many people were impacted until we got the phone calls and we started digging deep on it. So please, our advice to you is don't wait till the end of the year before you check your paycheck and say, oh, I see that my taxes is not being taken correctly. Oh, I see that some taxes was taken from me and I didn't get refunded. Because asking IRS to refund you your Social Security taxes, the FICA taxes, that's the Social Security and the Medicare taxes that was taken from your paycheck during the year, is like pulling teeth. So that's why we encourage you to look through your paycheck. If you don't understand anything there, give us a call or send us an email, preferably chat with us on Teams, and we'll get back to you and let you know what is happening. And if there's anything that needs to be corrected at that time, we'll go ahead and make the correction. So here that they're asking me to pay, they give you options of what to do, to go in here and click on IRS payments, um, which when you go to their website, they have different options of how you can make your payments. But that does not show that we have concluded with our process. So at the bottom here, I need everybody to pay particular attention going forward from here. Please read every instruction because it's just straightforward. It just tells you what to do. You're not going to miss anything if you follow every instruction that was given to you. So here it says you must print, review, sign, and mail your tax document. So the application to be able to file your taxes online has not yet been approved and completed by IRS. So we still need to print, review, and mail to the address that will be given to us. So here you have to check this off. I understand that GTP will not file my tax document electronically, so I must print, review, sign, and mail my tax documents to IRS following the instructions that prints with my tax return. So you hit next. Um, for the term because of the form 8843, it's going to ask you more questions. Do you have any dependents who were present in the US during 2025 under F2 immigration status? So if you do, you say yes. If you don't, you say no. If you had your child here in the US, don't just click no, because the child born in the US is a citizen. So here, based on the information that I entered, the following tax documents were prepared for me. So these are the documents that I should see here if I click on this print view forms. So the instruction sheet, the ITIN instruction, Form W7, Form 1040NR, Schedule 01 order information, 0I order information, and Form 8843. So it's letting you know, hey, you've not finished, click next to find out if you may require to file a state tax return. If you are using a tablet device after reviewing your tax return, please remember to return to GTP so you can finish your entire GTP process. So please always read that instruction to know the next step to follow. So here we'll give you what's it called? A zip folder. And this is the instruction paper. Every single line on this instruction paper, please read it. Please read it. Because it shows that I owe additional taxes. They have given me instruction on how to make payment. This is it right here. Then it tells me that again, I must print, sign, and mail my Form 1040NR and all required documents. GTP will not submit it for you. Please handwrite your signature and date your tax return. Do not print your name. So you know that PDF signature, IRS does not want it. You need to print it out. You need to sign your name by yourself. They want to see an actual signature. They will not want, even if you use the PDF writer or something to write, have a very beautiful signature, they will return your form back to you. I promise you that. They will return your forms back to you. How they know, I don't know, but they will return it back to you. That and all they may return back to you to say, please sign this document correctly. That's all the instruction that they will give to you. And that will make you going back and forth, making, payment that is not required. So for me, based off of IO and all that, and because I am applying for ITIN, they may require me to send my items here. So, but the International Program Office has been helping us with the ITIN process. So once you get your W7, to tell you all that you require to apply for your ITIN, and you take it to the International Program Office, and they're able to guide you on what next to do on that before you go mail your W2 and all that to this address. So it tells you here, if you receive a 1095B, 1095C, or 1098T, do not attach it to your Form 1040NR. So the reason is because you are not entitled to all those credits. But the 1095B and C, I think it has to do with healthcare, insurance, and stuff, and 1095A. Those is for your keeps. Make sure you keep them well so that if there's any request, that they're asking you, did you get any health insurance during the year? You are able to have that document to prove that you got insurance, health insurance during the year. So because I am owing, I have to make my payment. I have to send my documents that is signed on or before April 15. And you have to But regardless, April 15 is the tax deadline. So always make a copy and keep a copy of your signed and dated 1040 NR so that in case they're like, oh, we didn't get your forms and all that, so you have a proof to show that you mailed it out. So again, because if you worked in a state that has state taxes, you have to file your taxes. Unfortunately, GTP don't have a means of you filing your taxes for your state taxes. Um, they use this the like they say here, review the tax information on the website of the state in which you lived or worked during 2025 for more information. So that's the end of that instruction. And here is the instruction on what you need to submit when you're going to submit your W-7. They all have that listed in the instruction page that you will see. And everything, Glacier already filled out everything for you. So you don't need to scramble to fill anything. All you need to do is print them and so that you can sign and put the date and your phone number. So when you sign, you put date, make sure you put a working phone number and make sure your home address is correct or your current address that you have. So this is the actual income tax return forms with all the information. Then you make sure you put your signature here and the date here. This one has an option to put phone number and email address. Put a working email address. Please check your written information over and over to make sure that you did not make a mistake so that if they need to contact you, probably send to you I've not seen where they had to contact you with email or phone number, but I strongly say to put it in there um, in case it is needed or is necessary. If you see that IRS called you or sent you an email, you need to call them back or check to see if it is in regards to your income tax return. But I've not really seen that happen. So, and these are all the other forms. Because you signed this 1040 NR, you are not required to sign the 8843 form. This one here. You are not required to sign that. And and that's it. Hold on, let me make sure that I'm done. So after that, after you've printed your document, you hit next. Oh, you said I'm not finished. So here it says, congratulations, you have finished your federal tax return. And it tells you everything that you need to remember. So what it's telling you is to make sure you follow the instruction to print all the documents that is required to be printed. You hit next and it tells you, okay, now you're finished. You can log out. Have a great day. If you have any questions, you go back to the FAQ or you send an email to help and they will get to you. And that's it for using Glacier Tax Prep to file your taxes. Any question?
Yeah, I have a question. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Nina. Thank you. I have a question. So, I didn't want to interrupt the workshop,
Mm-hmm.
like before, but I just wanted to ask for.
like in my situation, like I'm an international student and I have lived here in the US, like in San Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
for 9 years. Nine
Okay.
years, and I'm considered a Texas resident, but a temporary because right now I'm in F1. But will I be like, will I use Glacier or another platform?
So my first question to you is, when you were here in the US all this while, has it been always been F1?
No, no, no. I was a TD because my dad had a TN visa.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, but you stayed here and became F1.
Yes, I changed my status last semester
Okay.
to F1.
So, so this is what I will advise you to do. You get the Glacier access code, GTP access code, and see, you know what? Let's see. So, do you know, you said